can't remember if I promised Drove that I, geez, man, Drove that I wouldn't bring up exams again. He says I don't have to talk about it for 6 more weeks, so that's good. Tanuj, by the way, how do you feel like your exams went?
It was fine, I guess.
Good. Yeah. When do you guys get
Sorry
yours?
if I may get disconnected. I'm actually not at. If I may get disconnected in between because I'm not at home at the moment.
Oh, okay. No problem. All right. So, Josh is with us, Nikhil is, and so is Drove. By the way, now, yeah, shit, whatever. Okay, good. Well, let's get started. Let's talk about a few things. Oh man, boy, I've got the sun right in my face. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go close those blinds, but just as I do, I'm gonna leave this sitemap up for everyone to look at, just as a reminder of what we're trying to, the structure that we think that we're going for. Okay, good. Okay, that's better. Well, and the structure as it's outlined here is really similar to what we have today. There's just a couple of new areas, but largely very similar. So, anybody have any comments on this before we go into the meeting minutes?
So the arrows are the direct links, like we have connected projects, books, workshops, brand, and news.
Right. Yep. Good clarification, Nikhil, is that the structure that's laid out here, I think the thinking was at the very top, it's layer5.io is the link that is associated with the root. And then the first tier down, it would be layer5.io/landscape/partners/whatever the name of this thing is. But then to your point that this category, like if we use the /learn, for example, that this is really a category that captures 2 other sections, so books and workshops, but that right now we have a fair number of references that point to layer5.io/books. And so we want to make sure to support that URL, and we can do it in one of 2 ways. We can either literally continue to just support /books, such that it just shows books when people land there, or, and this is probably what we should do, is the second version, which is, well, probably we end up redirecting to layer5.io/learn. I'm sorry, to layer5.io/learn/books. And we still end up showing the same thing, but we kind of redirect that old URL. I don't know. I guess I'm of 2 minds there. I think part of that will be determined when the further that we get into Gatsby, maybe the further that we get into Strappy, in understanding the flexibility around paths at redirection and content. And if there are restrictions that might determine whether or not we're able to continue to support these sort of top level links that are really more of a secondary, I'm sorry, more of a tertiary, layer. But yep, that's exactly what's intended here, is that people could directly get to layer5io/workshops. And so I called out each of these that are supported today. And some of these may, I don't know. I don't know that any of them go away. Wow. I think we're already have another project to add over here. This is great. Okay. Great question, Nikhil. Any other questions or comments?
Can't we just redirect layer5.io/books to layer5.io/learn/books? It would be better for everyone.
Yep, that's a great comment. And actually, that's the second thing that I was saying, that we should, and I think I was saying like, hey, we should probably do that one, which is to begin. Well, I don't know. You could think of it as like training users that they need to go there instead. I mean, they're going to get the same content, but the URL will be different. The thing is like we'll still have to support that redirection, probably permanently, because external links don't necessarily get updated. But to your point, Dhruv, redirecting might just be the cleanest. Today, there's a lot of flexibility with what we have with Jekyll. And so, and the way that we're using templating. And I'm assuming that will be the same for us with Gatsby. And that is like, hey, we can show you the same content under a bunch of different URLs with great ease, with no problem. As a matter of fact, there's a number of pages that support redirection today. And so if you look at the front matter on some of them, anyway, okay. So that's that.
Lee, just a second. I had a doubt. I guess we were planning for something different for the learn URL, sub URL for layer 5, I guess. Or we are creating a repo in layer 5 itself at GitHub for the learn URL. So I was thinking, instead of redirecting from learn/blog, it could have been resources/blog/other. Just we are using current. I guess we are using that one in the current site.
Yeah, good.
Footer part, in the footer.
Oh, I see. Yeah, resources. So that's interesting. Yeah, well, I think in the footer today, I should.
Okay, here it is. Isn't there? I guess in the new site which Josh is working on, I guess we are having that one. If we can confirm, Josh.
Yeah, it's a good point that you bring up, because there is very much the desire that we would have something significantly different, and maybe it becomes a subdomain, learn.layer5.io, but it's not entirely dissimilar. Like, kind of part of the vision isn't in, it's somewhat similar to what HashiCorp has on learn.hashicorp.com, that they list out their projects, their products, click on them and go through any amount of training material, step-by-step labs. That's an awesome thing. And given the framework that they probably have that drives this sort of interaction and this style site, they're using a different, subdomain for that. I think it says HashiCorp Learn, and they're kind of branding it as a separate thing. Now, I think the user experience, or like the fact that you're navigating to a different subdomain, isn't horribly obvious to most. Here I'm sitting on the console product page. we're looking at something. I don't know. Let's look at, actually, when we click on tutorials, I was going to look at the tutorials, but it takes us to learn.hashicorp.com. And yeah, it has a slightly different feel, but mostly, you know, but you have to be paying attention. So today for us, for layer 5, today there's a learn top level menu item. And so there actually is a layer5io/learn. And what it has is the books collection, and then it has the workshops collection. So those two things, and it just iterates through each one and spits them out. We also, it's kind of interesting because we could have just had layer5io/learn/books as, you know, and leaving learn as like the higher level category. Learn was sort of an afterthought after we had books and workshops. And so right now it's /books, which is just the books, and then it's /workshops, which is just the workshops. But, you know, if you go to /learn, it combines both of those collections into one. There's a /events as well, which is, there's enough to events and how they work that it's probably, a different section. We listed it out here under, like, there's community, and events are under community. I mean, obviously some events are going to be about learning and things, so that there will be some tie-in potentially. So yeah, Nikhil, some of the thinking is a little fluid, I guess, like to your point that, like, now there is, I think what we're not seeing in this layout is something that a few of you have mentioned, and it's something called resources, which is a pretty powerful word, or rather it's a pretty generic word. So actually you can stuff all kinds of odds and ends under there. Generally, people expect to find, actually, so this is exactly why resources is not in here currently. It doesn't mean that we can't debate that and potentially include it, but the logic behind why resources isn't in here currently is, at least for me, I don't know if this is the same for you, but for me, if you're trying to learn about, I don't know, let's go to some Cisco.com, some tech organization that has products, right? And you're trying to learn about their products, the things that they have. Generally, I don't even know if they have a /resources. They must. But that you would, often what you find is a bunch of marketing worthlessness. Okay, they don't have /resources. That's interesting. That doesn't mean, like, what's another good example? D2IQ. They used to be Mesosphere. They've always had super sexy, they used to have a super sexy site. Now it's okay. But they have resources as a top level thing. And if they have this resource library takes you to /resources. So they have case studies, cheat sheets, ebooks, infographics, reports, solution briefs, videos, webinars, white papers. All of these things are good. Sometimes they're done so horribly that they're worthless. These aren't. I mean, some of these are, you know, really worth something. Anyway, I'm just kind of thinking out loud with you about the term resources.
You can try the TensorFlow site. They have a good resources page.
Well, this is a nice site. Yeah, interesting. I guess. Yeah, let me try to go to just resources. Okay, it takes you to models and data sets. So it takes you to, actually, it's kind of weird. I wonder what happens if I do that again. If I go to /resources. Okay, it still takes you to models and data sets. Because if you click on resources up here, it takes you to responsible AI. Not that it matters, but it's just it goes between these two. But tools. So yeah, actually, this is very pretty, right? This is they have a nice little like zoom in animation on the feature image. I don't know if you can see that. It's really slight. They have this nice gradient going on where they invert the color of the text as well from black to white. I think you can click on either the feature image or this text. They have two, well, not always, they have two links sometimes. The little arrow will move out and it'll do it up or out here as well. It doesn't do it for the, oh yeah, no, it does. It does it for the, yeah, it's funny. It does it for GitHub only when you hover on the actual GitHub.
Just to be competitive, we have that feature in our new site.
So wait, say it again. To be competitive, what?
We have that feature in our new Layer 5 site.
Oh, nice, good. Yeah, no, that, yeah, good. It also, there's a little bit of shading behind this rectangle as it is, but when you roll over it, they add just a little bit more. So, yeah, no, this is a nice library. I think, Drew, in part, you were pointing this out because, I mean, one, maybe, you know, it's well done, it looks nice and stuff, but then two, if you're familiar with the space, you can get a sense of their information architecture, how it is that they've split up like the different sections of their resources. So this Learn ML, they have different curriculum. So for beginners, I'm just expecting that they take you somewhere else, but maybe, so they have, yeah, there's a, yeah, I guess. Okay. And then they have core tutorials. So this is an interesting thing. Yep. This is Google Colab, Google Code Lab. Is Shriti on? Because this is what we've talked about in the past of potentially supporting in our docs is a bit more of interactive code and letting people, this is interesting, like you're actually connected to a host right now and it's telling you how much resources you have left depending upon, you know, on your current session. So that's awesome. Huh. Okay. Okay, well, wow. All right, it's a good inspiration. Any other comments on the sitemap stuff?
Yeah, Lee, I just had one question. So we see all of these major, the layer at the top, if in the sitemap itself.
Yeah.
Could you go back to the sitemap for 1 second, if that's possible? Yeah. So basically, all of these, such as landscape partners. So I guess these are the ones that are the high-level, like menus that we have. Now, things like about and brand. So all of these are also part of that, or like these are going to be some kind of sub menus, or.
Right. Yeah. I think that the plan here, the thinking is that these first level, these first tier entries in the hierarchy would be that this would be a layer5.io. This would be layer5.io/landscape/partners/ yeah, that there would be a top level path /blog/contact. And then for these smaller ones, I think this was a recognition that when you lay things out, if you ignore the website paths for a moment, and you lay things out in terms of categories, that like the books, the resources that we have, the books and the workshops are categorically, they fall under learn is the name that we used. I think you could have used a word like resources, and we use learn. And so if someone went to layer5.io/learn, they would see both the collection of books and the collection of workshops. But that this small indicator here is trying to highlight like, well, today we allow people to go to either of these three directly, /books, /learn, or /workshops. If they go to /workshops, all they see are workshops. Same for books. But if they go to /learn, they see both collections. Now, it's still the case that we would support layer5.io/learn/workshops. Like we would still, basically those are the same. The user arrives at the same content, but potentially from two different URLs. In part, the reason that we're doing this is sometimes it's just convenient to be able to hand someone a link directly to that section, okay. But B, and more importantly, there's a number of links to these pages currently that are, on other sites that we don't control. And so we're still going to have inbound traffic to those links. So we're either going to want to just redirect people from layer5.io/workshops over to layer5.io learn/workshops, or just continue to support both. And this is actually one of those questions that this relates to one of those questions that Ishita and the rest of us have talked about a little bit. And it's this, question about SEO. When from a domain authority and page rank or page relevance, page rank perspective, does a site incur negative marks, like a negative rank, when it's using the same content under different views, basically? And so that would also, understanding this would also affect our design. Ishita, is this still an area of research for you?
Yeah, so I did research a bit about it, and well, it does not have any negative impact, but it certainly does not have a positive impact. So each page should, have links that are not a part of other links, because that does not help our case. So I think we need to be sure to have unique page tags for each web page.
And by page tags, like Google tags?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So Google, a Google tag for each individual page. Now I'm a Google tag manager ignoramus. So are tags for individual pages automatically generated by Google tag itself? Or do you have to go explicitly map? Yeah, it's Ishita, I don't know if that question makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look into that.
Sure. Yeah, no. Google tag for each individual page. Okay, and I'm taking notes in the wrong thing. All right, let me. Cool. Okay, well, moving on. Other topics. We've got a few listed here. Josh, you got a ton of feedback on the footer component. Do you want to share latest status, kind of what, what's left, if anything? Or?
Yeah, so the colors thing and as you have mentioned today morning, means the background part that is left. Almost the other things have been done. If you could show the latest Netlify deploy.
Okay, sure. If I can find the weird. By the way, does anyone know? Actually, I think I asked this last time. I don't remember. Does anyone know if there's a perpetually available, like, latest deployed link?
Yeah, it's layer5ng.netlify.app.
Wait, dot what? Dot app?
App.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think so. It's like, so does this same link always get auto deployed with each and every different pull requests? Because I believe that for the ones that are not merged, it
Yeah,
must be
that's
created in.
Yeah, it won't be the
it
latest
would be
for
only
the
for merged ones.
only for the merged ones.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Oops. Wrong way. All right. There we are. Here it comes. Okay. Cool. And then, yeah, Josh, whatever you want to speak to.
Yeah, so there was a question last time if you could see the languages part has to be a part, like if people visit or use this thing, so we need to keep it or not. The next thing is, as you mentioned, the background needs to have this, the left side, you can see this small SVG that needs to be in the entire background in smaller parts. And yeah, so basically the things left are only, I think, for the coloring or the design things.
Right. Yeah. We don't, I have a strong sense that we will move away from this visual design element, the squigglies, if you will. And we'll probably even move away from the dots, and from this. I mean, like, hey, yeah, there's different design elements to come. You're right, that we don't have to get all of those elements in the first attempt on the footer itself.
Again, I really like the Strappy's footer as well. I mean, if you look at quick look.
It's pretty clean. Yeah, it's got there's certain design elements that they have that they, proliferate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though it's so, I mean, simple, but also, I mean, keeping that in mind, we could possibly even, even if we go with a very, simple design, but keeping in that dark green or whatever, colors scheme that we have chosen.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice thing here is they get some amount of additional page relevance out of the text here. Yeah. They've got kind of a single overarching message, which is unleash your content, like get started. They've got, these are kind of like ours with the service mesh links. They're trying to capture some, page relevance or what have you on these topics. If they were trying to save space, they would have just said content management system or, but oops. Okay. Good. There's another thing is a good refresher for me. And that's like, what does this look like? Wow. That's nice. Okay. What's interesting is when you go from one to the next, they have that replace.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying, that is what I've tried to do with the layer 5 one as well for the mega menu. I mean, we don't see it right now, and I've sort of updated the design as well. So I'll just make a pull request for that one, because earlier I just created like a component for the video, but now I've like sort of, placed. So, I mean, basically now what we can do is like, if let's say in the blogs, we have some, one or two featured blogs, since our, like mega menu, it's using the JSON format for displaying information. So, I mean, it really doesn't depend on how many, like we can have, let's say 2 important links or just 1 important link, as like it was sort of based off from the Strappy site.
Yep. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, that makes it. Yep. So this is D2IQ. It just so happens we were looking at this site because I know about their resources library, but it just so happens that this site also has something of a mega menu, which is, they have these little, they have these same motions. Man, Drew, that TensorFlow site, man, that I just have to go back to that for a second. Now their menus, we're going to have achieved something better than they will have, or I consider.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple.
Yeah. But of the rest, like their resources section, or there's some elements that they have that are pretty nice. Like they'll move this arrow, they'll invert the coloring, they'll shade, they'll zoom in on the feature image. It zooms just slightly. They'll add some additional shade to the back of the card, even though there's already shading. They add a little bit more. Anyway, that's a pretty cool, like, that. I think part of the reason it looks so nice is because they're using these vivid orange and dark orange to light orange gradients. But cool. So this is there's an aspect to what they've done here in this mega menu. This one doesn't look as nice as the Strappy one, I don't consider, but there is some interesting elements like this free trial, this new, like the ability to highlight something. They're using colors here to segregate categories. They got background, background shading. They do have, this is interesting. They just got this GIF, I guess, that's scrolling. Actually, I gotta say, like as a user, it's annoying that the thing that they're calling out to most is like non-interactive and not clickable. It's kind of, then over here too, I gotta say, like on a menu, like right here, it's dead zone. And look at that, like it would just be nice. Like there's only one thing to click. I think this learn more takes you to /customers, and this one takes you to /customers. So basically, of the whole thing, you can only go one place, and they have 2 little spots, this text and this text. So hopefully, I don't know, just things to think about as we're, as we're doing whatever we're doing here. It's a bit nicer here already because you can already see that, oh, hey, there's a visual indication that this thing is clickable. It's not just my mouse that's changing, it's and speaking of the mouse changing, oh, okay. Yeah, no, the mouse changes in the right way, okay. Okay, well, great. Man, we're doing a lot of random, just like, so coming back, Josh, what do you have left to to do before you think that this is mergeable?
So if the flags thing would be confirmed, then I would be adding those transition for the flags, like the grayscale, and then when you hover on it, it would be going to the colors. So if it is to be like, if it is confirmed, I will do it by tonight, so that that can be merged from for now, if the styling effect is to be left for the next PR.
Ishita, is this a question that you're able to answer now, or is this something we're still looking at?
I think I still have to look into that. I can't give you a certain answer right now.
Sure. This might be, and this is again, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here, but it might be that, oh boy, today on the Layer5 IO site, we have essentially a single Google Analytic ID that takes back whatever it can from the user's visit. And yeah, and I bet if we were actually using Google tags or the tag manager and doing some things better, that's probably how you derive a lot more info on specifically what people are using and what they're not. But that's just my guess. I don't know. So I guess part of me saying that is maybe the instrumentation that we have today isn't granular enough to, maybe we have to update that to be able to really answer the question. So Yash, I guess in lieu of that, yeah, maybe we'll set aside or leave the flags sort of as is today. I think the outstanding piece of feedback is just that we might move them to grayscale. If we keep them around, that we might move them to grayscale because they're too attention getting currently. Other than that, I think maybe and again, like, so Josh and I were having a short conversation in which I was telling him, hey, I realize it can be not demoralizing, but a bit energy zapping if a PR goes on for ages. Is it just like, oh, it'll never end, and since this isn't a live site, I think it's probably okay for us to occasionally merge, even though we're incomplete, so long as we're cataloging the feedback. So if there was a piece of feedback, and this is, if say, for example, this was something that we felt like, hey, we're going to go ahead and merge, but we want to make sure that we follow up on this, that we have like a line, a to-do item. I'm not sure how many of you've used this. There's a convenience operator here to reference this comment in a new issue. It's underpowered a little bit, but it'll get you going. So something for us to do. An item, Josh, that this is one that can go into a different PR, but as we take some inspiration from the original 8 Appion theme, I went ahead and updated the styles of the social buttons here on the current Layer5 IO site. Well, there were actually a couple of different originally when these buttons were here, they were actually the round square, or the round square. Did I just say round square in the same sentence? Yeah, the rounded corner rectangle. And I think it's actually still there. It's just that that's white in the background.
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay. And then there was a contributor that came by a long time ago and put in a fill in the background, which is really cool. And based on the color of that, that logo. And when you look at the original Appion theme, they also had a fill, which wasn't nearly as pretty, or I don't think. it's this, and it's that, and there's no animation to it. It's just like boom. It's just boom. It's there. It's not like it sort of fills in.
So what I think is all this would be more convenient to do if we first fix the background what we have. So like if we have fixed the background color or design, then it would be more like for the current website we have white background. So for them those colors are really good. But like if we choose to go with some other color or something else in the new website, that won't be that much of like same impactful as we have in the present site. So I think all those design elements could be referenced all in a single PR, but like when we are designing the background, all these elements inside the footer could be designed along with them. So like there should be a different PR or an issue for all the designing part of that thing, of the entire footer.
I see. Makes sense. Yeah, it is something that can be followed up on later. I think for the most part, for me, the question is like, hey, should the white that you see right here be filled in, or should the background be filled in? I think switching those two out is really easy, so long as the ability to fill it in is translated over. If that makes sense. So to your point, like we can kind of restyle it a little bit later, but the raw capability to fill it in is something that you might be able to execute on. Any other comments on the footer? Any other? Okay, nice. And then, yeah. And then Josh, did it make sense what I was saying about the links in the footer? Like right now.
So I'll do one thing. I will first fix the 404 page, and then we can add those links even.
Nice. Okay. And then I don't know if you guys have all seen it, but it's if you go to the current site and you hit the wrong page, or you hit a 404, it'll give you a message. And then if you hit it again, it'll kind of rotate through.
So there are 6 defined messages, and they are randomly choosing from them.
Nikhil, say that again.
I was saying there are 6 defined messages, and we are rotating. Like I have seen in the current Layer 5 website, there are 6 to 7 different messages, and they are rotating them on every visit of that page.
Okay, nice. And then that's something that you think you'll be able to bring along? Nice. Okay. The blogs, the blog grid, the blog list, Tanuj, things to talk about on that.
So we have migrated most of the blogs. I guess only 2 are left.
Yes, I was working on one. Now only one would be left. After that, I will send it.
I am currently showing the previews in the blog grid, not on the blog list. This is not it.
Gotcha. As you think about it, like when we think in context of the sitemap and the paths, like, you know, layer5io/blog, any thoughts that you're having with respect to the link to, you know, which one of the two to use for /blog?
If there are a lot of blogs, then blog grid will be nice.
That makes sense. There should be a lot of blogs, otherwise we're in trouble. there's the blog grid, the blog list. Yep. Makes sense. So blog list. So I guess, in my mind, tell me if this is what you guys are thinking as well, is like the blog grid is, Tanuj, what you just said, like, it's what will be displayed if you just go to /blog. If you click on a category like Istio or something, that what you would likely see then is a blog list, but it would be /blog/ category / Istio or something like that. And then you see, the fact that there are, 20 something Istio blogs, and you see 3 of them until you have to click see more. Does this work?
No, not anymore.
Oh, okay. Does anyone else have a different perspective on that? The blog list versus blog grid?
So in case we keep a blog list, where would that C mode lead to?
Ask that. Say the second part of your question again.
If we keep the blog list, like if you said there would be Istio blogs and 20 blogs, then the see more, where would the see more link lead to?
Right. Yeah, it would be, and I don't know how well the current theme accounts for this, but it would be, let's say we're only showing, we have 20 Istio blogs, so 20 blogs within a given category, and that the current layout, we show 4 of them, or 5 or whatever, that hopefully there's built-in pagination that we're able to use that then retrieves that if these are listed in, these chronological order.
It would work in the same way as we have in the blog grid. It will show the individual page for the blog on clicking see. Blog list is just a different way of viewing the blogs. Instead of grid, we are having showing it in list way. So it won't affect the one when we click on see more. You can click on any one of them. I guess it's ready. So when you click on see more, it will go to the individual page of the blog, even in blog list page.
So right now, do we have pagination for the blogs?
Yeah, I guess we have.
Oh, okay.
Because as we are updating the new blogs, we have the pagination for that.
And then Nikhil, you don't know if where we have like an example of that, like I can see like when you, because this I think there is a pagination plugin, right? Like that's I'm sure a really common thing.
There's an issue for that. We need to configure.
Oh, okay. Do we have an open issue for that already? Okay, cool. Okay, then let's take a look at just one of the individual blogs briefly. I think it's helpful to talk it through. So one thing I think Nikhil was pointing out, I was talking about how the TensorFlow site that Drew pointed out was pretty cool with some of the stuff it had. And in the best of prideful ways, Nikhil is saying, well, hey, wait a second, like we're not doing too shabby ourselves. So when we look at this, like we have some shading already, which is pretty, I think. When we hover, we have an effect. So we do a zoom in. Now our zoom in on the feature image is without much. I wonder if we could ease that a little bit more, like this one, this SVG. I don't know if it's the fact that, I guess it's not an SVG. And maybe it's just the fact that it's a full, the image itself is the full width. So the effect is very soothing.
That's an SVG.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Nice. Do you consider that it's because it's an SVG that the effect is soothing, or it's because the image is already full width. Yeah, my
It's an SVG because you can put any of the images.
I didn't hear that, but I'm going to answer the question and say I'm pretty darn sure it's because it's an SVG. Like if this is an SVG as well, the even though it's not full width and it doesn't, you know, touch up against, it's not flush with the edges, the effect is quite soft and lovely. And it's something that I could look at on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. Whereas this, even though this is flush, this is a PNG, you know, this image is flush. Flush. It's, you know, it's jarring. I think this one looks like it's flush to the edge, but it's not quite. So that's a bad example. But this one, it's not flush with the edge. It's just what, you know, it's just white space. Anyway, they're all jarring. See what Ishita is doing. She's just. We need an SVG of Ishita. That's what we need. Anyway, that's a note to be made. Like, hey, okay. Another one is okay, when you roll over, this space isn't clickable. This is. It's okay that this space isn't clickable, or I'm not saying it has to be. I'm just kind of talking out loud as a user. So at some point, we'll probably want to change this from pink to like green, probably, or something. And interesting that the see more, the arrow doesn't move unless you go over it. And that can be okay, I guess. It's kind of interesting because when you hover, when you bring your mouse over, the see more does change in color. It just doesn't animate unless you come into its area. Again, I don't know that there's anything that we need to change, but it's just good things for us to look at. That one thing that I don't know if this is disturbing or not. This is a question for all of you. I want to read this blog post. It's about SMI conformance. Okay, I'm gonna read it, and you know, it takes me to a new page so I can read the whole thing. Good. I would expect that. I gotta say, for my part, I'm left feeling like maybe I was taken somewhere that I wasn't expecting. You know why? Because I don't see the same feature image. And so I just would have expected like to basically see that same image up here. And then I'll know like, yeah, that I want to read about that thing right there. And I'm actually clicking on that thing. And I see some different, you know, like it, you know, because I can only read Community Bridge 2020 here, which by the way, geez, I wonder if we could maybe squeeze in 2 lines here. Because it
Yeah, actually, previously, Tanuj was implementing the version which you were saying on showing the full name of the block. But instead, I suggested him to make it to ellipsis, as it may be a case in the future that the name of the block gets have a bit as a bit lengthy. So it may be the case that the size of the previews may differ, as we are fixing the size of the preview so that they all look the same. So it may be the case that it may differ. That's why I asked him to turn it to ellipsis, and so that if a user finds it interesting by seeing the starting of the name or the thumbnail itself, he may initially uh, inevitably direct to the blog page and have a look at it.
that's fantastic logic. It makes a lot of sense that like it's inevitable that you're going to have a run-on title or like something that you just can't fit into the size of the static size of this card. And and I makes a ton of sense to me that you would enforce a static size, because really, if you don't, like aesthetically, it's looks like a jumbled mix of random size card, it doesn't. So that's the right, so good call. The thing I'm wondering out loud is if when we have a full-sized image, which I think this one, well, this is interesting. Like maybe this one is a full-sized image. It looks as big as anything.
We have an issue around that part. Means it's not. We have an existing issue for that part. So we thought of excluding it, considering we will resolve it later. That we are not getting the fixed size of all the block images.
Oh,
So that's the part which needs a bit of CSS attentions. So
okay.
we have skipped it and moved to restrict.
Got you. And it doesn't look horrible today, like with how, like the fact that this one's slightly taller than this one. I mean, it's not, that's, it's not, I could see it staying like that, or I could see an improvement. But actually the thing I was trying to get to is, like here, this is kind of bad because because of the way that the title was written, that it's going to talk about Community Bridge, and maybe that's interesting enough, but it leaves out the rest of of this. And so what I was trying to wonder aloud is, hey, it's nice that we have white space. And granted, even if we wrap this onto a second line, it's still going to spill over. We're still going to end up with the ellipsis. So that's fine. But I guess what I was trying to figure out is like, hey, when you look at like the biggest image and you analyze how much white space there's left, do we feel like we have room for a second row? Maybe not. Do we feel like the Seymour is, so right now, in some respects, you can make an argument, hey, let's remove the Seymour to be able to make room for a second line so that people can see a bit more, they can be enticed a bit more. The TensorFlow, but yeah, if you had other links other than just to see more, like on the TensorFlow site, then you could make an argument that like, well, you don't just have the same link like 3 times, because this is the same link 1, 2, 3. It's a nice animation. Oh, generally that's a nice animation. That's kind of weird. Anyway, on this call, we get to the end of the call pretty quick because there's so much work to be done here. Did someone just, so we're at the end of the call. What do we need to talk about as you guys all get ready to go? We brought in yeah, go ahead.
The Strappy plugin which I made is down because all my credit is now over for student.
Oh, then Drew, let's make a point of getting you me getting you some credentials.
Sorry, did the meeting just start, or because I got email about it being changed to 2:30?
Oh, nope. Nope. We've been here for an hour.
Oh, I actually checked in by 1:30 and the meeting had not started, so I went back to my mail and saw it was moved, like changed to 2:30.
Yeah, that probably both of those are my fault. Certainly when I was a few minutes late to start, so you were here and I wasn't, and then you probably thought like, oh, hey, we're not meeting that. But does it show up on your calendar at 2:30, not 1:30?
Yeah, it was like the meeting has been changed from 1:30 to 2:30. So yeah.
Yeah. That's something to look at. But Ruth, it's good to have you though.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we did record. But
Okay, I'll just check the recording.
okay. Shivai, I guess so. Dhruv, Shivai, Tanuj, like we should talk really quick. So Yash, do you know my comment about the Twitter plugin was just like,
Yeah, I saw the Gatsby Twitter plugin as you mentioned, but it was lacking a few features which are present in the React Twitter embed. So I decided to drop that off.
sure. Do you recall what those features are?
Like it basically allows to embed a tweet, a single tweet, and not the timeline.
Nice.
And we are here for the timeline, I guess.
So it allows for both a timeline and a single tweet.
Yeah, so it's quite flexible. It allows multiple things like button or share button and everything if you want to.
So I'm adding that to the currently in use list of plugins. Of this list, I think it was initially helpful as we were thinking about setting up Gatsby and what all do we need and why and what's the good ones to use, and just kind of doing some discovery. Do you guys feel like it's still beneficial to have a central list of the plugins that we're using? Or is this does this get out of date and isn't helpful? What's helpful is looking at the code or?
It's actually good if a new contributor comes in and he starts working on the site, then you find some resources or existing plugins to use in the new components while working.
Cool. Gotcha. Josh, will you do me a favor and drop in a link to that plugin?
Oh, okay, sure.
Cool.
So before we leave, I had 2-3 things. Like it's quite short.
Yeah,
like
please.
there was an issue. There were three issues for installing and configuring plugins by Tanuj, the sitemap plugin and the file system plugin. So for configuring those plugins, we need to add the details of the Google Analytics, IDs, and also if they could be provided, I would add those plugins for now, or we have to keep it on a later note.
Oh, huh. Yeah, I guess we don't have one of those. I was going to say that one had been recently created, but that was actually me confusing the other news site, SMPS. So to Josh, we need to take an action item because I don't think that there's. What'll be interesting is Ashita, like now that you are becoming the involuntarily volunteered SEO master, like there's a question here is like, well, when we do switch over eventually from one site to the next, would we just want to retain the same, like, is there value in retaining the same analytics ID, or is there value in cutting to a new one? Because some of that data is good to reflect on and report on over time. My guess would be that we would want to retain the same ones so that we can, but like, I guess the question is like, what considerations are there to does it mess up data? Is it cleaner and easier in Data Studio to use should we get a new one for Layer5 NG temporarily? I don't know that temporarily is a use case for us, considering that it's not published anywhere other than that preview page. Oh.
What is Data Studio?
Yeah, it's so when we go into analytics.google.com, there are a few tools that like I gotta say, I think it's like in the last just couple of years or so, like fairly recent, that it used to be called Site Explorer or Site Crawler or Site something, and then they renamed it to Analytics, and then eventually Google ended up coming out with like a bit of a suite of tools for like their marketing platform overall. And this Data Studio is one of those tools, and it helps with, you know, I guess actually these pictures show it a little bit better than I can describe it, which is creating reports using the analytics IDs, that the different sites and their as data sources, and then, you know, generating reports based on that data in a more powerful way than you can with just analytics.
Right.
So yeah, anyway. Tanuj, there's a question related to this topic that is, oh boy, that I just forgot. Darn, I forgot. I'm not sure. So Ishita, if these are not of interest, it is totally fine. Like I'm writing this one down about like, what considerations do we need for beginning to do something more intelligent around using Google tags than IDs? So don't feel obligated if like there's a ton of other things here, but
I think I'm gonna be getting in touch with either Tanuj or one of the others to just maybe help figure out what more I can do in terms of React and stuff within this.
Totally. Yeah, let me move these. Let's thank you for the looking at the analytics, by the way, very helpful.
I can surely do this as well, but that won't be a problem. Don't worry about that.
Okay. But then yeah, there's like you could almost throw a dart in the dark in a like actually there's a ton of things we're just looking at right here, which is like, well, the breadcrumbs don't work. Well, hey, we actually don't have support for categories just yet, even though we have tags here. They don't seem to be connected up. At some point, we probably will want to have user profiles so that you can see who the author is and a bit of info about them, kind of like the Meshmates new page that we have. Anyway, I'll stop because there's just a. All right, next. Tanuj, did you want to talk about the React Prism renderer plugin?
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
Kind of.
Yeah. So the React Prism renderer allowed us to basically highlight the code for different languages and allow a feature to copy the code. And I think there is an issue with the copy button which is pointed out to be fixed.
Cool. Oh, that makes sense. It looks good, by the way. So I don't think I can demo it, but okay, very good. That makes sense. I realize we're over time for everybody. If anyone has a conflict and needs to go, please do. Please don't feel bad. but for those that do have time, I want to make sure you get a little bit of time to talk about the stuff that you've been doing. So, Tanuj, do you feel like you've got a solution for the SVG issue in blog posts?
So what I was currently doing was that using Gatsby image for the thumbnail. So what Gatsby image did was it took the image input and created different sizes of the images. So in doing so, it will basically decrease the size of the image and to accordingly fit the thumbnail. So the size will be reduced of the thumbnail. But it was not able to do that for SVG because it doesn't support SVG. So there was an issue which was present in the Gatsby report. So the workaround was that take the when it is an SVG, you just use the normal stack instead of the Gatsby image stack, so that it can.
Right. Yep. I'm looking through the recommended workaround now. Which seems fine. As you've taken and implemented this workaround, we didn't inadvertently affect any support for PNGs, did we?
No.
Okay. Nice. All right. I'll put the link here for people who are. So Dhruv, thanks for your quick education about Strappy last time and just kind of the cursory sort of walkthrough of data models and things like that. And I know you're considering that you're going to be going deeper there and continuing to provide instruction to the rest of us, but that you've got a blocker in terms of, credits, right, for a deployment.
Yeah.
Okay. True. Okay.
Yeah, and I talked about that Jekyll plugin for Strappy last time. And is it any harm if we downgrade to the last version of Jekyll?
I don't think are we on 401 now?
I don't remember exactly. Yeah, probably. And we need to go to something like 3.
Yeah.
3.8 or anything starting from 3 would work.
It's pretty easy to try it out. Like, I thought there was one gem that we were using that required 4.0, or maybe it was like the particular version of Ruby. Maybe that's what it was. It was like the version of Ruby that we were using required 4.0. But from my, like, there wasn't, we don't need to be using a specific, I think the only thing that would be an issue is just if there's a gem that a plugin, a gem that we're using that isn't compatible with 3.8.7. What might have been the case is that we were at one point trying to bring forward support for tags and categories on the current site, and that type of collection, that type of approach might have required 4.0, but we never merged that in because it was pretty hideous looking. So to my knowledge, there isn't a requirement for 4.0. But just locally, you can take and change it to 3.8.7 or whatever the latest was, and then.
Okay. What I was thinking is I can make the data model and test it on the Jekyll sites first, the blogs on the Jekyll site, because eventually the data model would be same for anywhere we put the blogs.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here was the, well, this isn't bad actually.
Let's say not Layer5 to be in particular. Let's say something like Meshry or things like that,
Right.
so that it won't affect anything much if something happens drastically.
Oh, okay, sure. And then the support for the Jekyll plugin for Gatsby, that was to support potentially just like a migration path for news and blogs and.
Yeah, it would be Strappy Jekyll plugin, right?
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Drew, if you could, I think in part because I'm slightly confused, can you do me a favor and jot down how we go about using this, or like how we would go about using this plugin, like what it would do?
Basically, in this plugin, what it will do is it will fetch all the data from Strappy and store it locally, at least in case of Gatsby. And then whenever some changes occur in Strappy itself, there would be a webhook which would again tell Gatsby to fetch the data itself. And you can select, you can give a particular front end of access username and password so that they can access that particular database.
Okay. Does this end up treating Jekyll as a data source for Strappy?
No, this ends up Jekyll using Strappy as a data source.
Oh, weird.
Jekyll will get data from Strappy itself.
Okay. And so the value of this plugin is, and by the way, Ruth, just because I say your name specifically just because I know that, well, for all of us on the call, that we've been looking at using this headless content management system, and it's new for all of us. So I'm assuming it's new for you as well. But just the quick context is that we're looking at using this as the UI to be able to write up blogs and news articles and other things that will go into the new site.
In line with Gatsby.
Yeah, yep, like on top of Gatsby, right? Yeah, like on top of Gatsby, like to kind of provide you like a WordPress type user interface for creating new posts and that kind of a thing. But it would work in conjunction with Gatsby. So the user would sign in to the Strappy interface, create stuff visually, type it in, instead of having to work with Git and GitHub directly, that there may be certain contributors that are so much more, well, it's not just certain contributors that would be more comfortable. It's like the ability to see a live preview or to upload media easily. The way that it's done in Jekyll is kind of a pain in the rear. So yeah.
Yeah, I get the point. Okay.
And then yeah, and so okay. Okay, and then I don't know, guys. I'm sorry for the marathon meeting. One other topic that I had was just that we've got the new SMPS site out there, which also comes with a new logo, and there's a link to the folder that the logo source files are in today. There's a couple of other flavors of these that I'm going to add, and Nupur was wanting to play around with them and see if she could enhance it. I'll raise an issue after this call about taking a brand kit for SMPS and adding it to this page here on the Layer5.io/brand page. It has the brand kit for Layer5, brand kit for Meshry, brand kit for ImageHub, and now it needs the brand kit for SMPS. Shivai, did he have to go? Yeah. Is anyone actively working on the mega menu? Like really filling it in?
So I asked Shivai if I could jump in. So he said he had a few changes and he would be having a PR and then I could do something in that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything else before we conclude today?
Yeah, while the meeting was going on, I created a gradient, which type of gradient which we saw in TensorFlow or something. If everyone can check that out, I
Yeah.
just put it in the chat.
Please.
I guess our template has some gradients, right? I don't remember particularly.
Yeah, I don't remember. Nice. That's nice. And that's using, or it looks like that's using, or it's really close to using the same.
It's close. I changed it a bit.
Okay.
Make it more appealing.
What are you saying? What are you saying, Drew?
Nothing. Just made colors a bit popping.
We should give this a shot. I mean, it looks nice. Do we? Boy, my mouse, my Bluetooth mouse battery is dying, so I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time driving.
I have something to ask.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not actually sure it's relating the website. I just want to ask about there's this issue about adding me to the Mercury contributors. So I wanted Usama to do that, like work on that as probably like his first contribution. So because he's trying to get along, so I think that him working on that would be cool.
Good. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Yep. I was
So
just.
are
That's.
you Will on GitHub too? The person that opened the issue, are you the one?
Yeah. No. That is. Well, that is my son. Actually, he's 10.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's kind of embarrassing for him because this was like, he was dressed up as, for Halloween, to be a lost boy in Peter Pan's Lost. Anyway, I've been trying to, like, I have to.
But if you want to take on that, there's no issue.
No, he would be relieved if somebody else takes it on. Like, that's a great. Yeah, I mean, this is not only, this is a great issue for Osama to take for a couple of reasons. One, because it's on the easier side of things. Two, because you're being his onboard, his mentor anyway. So
yeah, so we'll do it in a couple of hours. Like I'll just walk him through doing it in a couple of hours.
Nice. Okay, good.
Yes.
And then, by the way, Ruth, I don't know if on this topic, I don't know if I've asked this before, but Peace and a couple of the other folks who recently joined, Anita and Kaleche, which, by the way, is not pronounced Kalichi. I made that mistake. But are you guys in a similar program by chance, like a same school or?
Oh, okay. I do not know Kelechi and Peace, but I'm friends with Anita. We went to the same university, so I'm friends with Anita. But I have not had a conversation with Kelechi, but I've had a conversation with Peace. Like we worked on that issue. Yeah, so it's just Anita I'm close friends with. Yeah, and some couple of people that joined, although they've not actually said anything yet. There's Alabo, there's Michael, Boezo Michael. So yeah, but I'm friends with Anita, very close friends with Anita.
Okay. Yeah, we. Okay, I figured I'd ask just because there's the interactions there, and I didn't know how much you guys already were familiar with each other, and so. Yeah. Or how much trouble I would get in with some of the bad jokes I was making. So.
No, that's fine.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Very good.
I
That's it.
have a couple of questions though, but I would wait till the meeting on Wednesday. I think it's better I see that there. Yeah.
Sure. Fair enough. Very good. Did anyone have any other items here?
Just one. What should I work on next? I think blog will be done today.
Yeah. Good question. So Tanuj, well, here's a thought is that, and Ishita, are you still on? Don't let me suggest something that isn't of interest. But
Yep.
there is an interest. This might be an interesting thing, Tanuj, to discuss with Ishita, and maybe this is something that Ishita tackles, and that is that there is this really fine line between a blog post and how it's formatted and sort of the needs that it has, like a title and content and an image and links and tags and category, and a list and pagination and stuff. There's a super fine line between that and a news item, which is almost identical. That I guess what I was going to say is like, hey, at some point we'll be ready to, it might be now that we're ready to begin to transition news articles over, but that there's a little bit of consideration as to the fact that they're not blog posts. They need about the same components. We need to show those slightly differently, and we would do well to take inspiration from other sites. I don't know why I keep bringing up Cisco, because I blank on. But anyway, I'll let you guys kind of look around and think it through. Migrating over, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll get in touch with Tanuj over that.
Okay, nice. And then Tanuj, for you, there's there's a few things. One of those things that's it's an important project is the landscape. Like, this is what it looks like today. There's some improvements in the works that I'm hoping, if Nikhil's still on, like I'm hoping Nikhil is, he's not, but I'm hoping he's working towards fixing, anyway, it's between like the landscape or Meshery or one of these individual project pages. So projects themselves, again, they need to be, so Dhruv, like in the data model, they need to be a collection. They need to be part of the data model, but each of them are slightly distinct in terms of how they present to users. So Tanuj, you might want to bite off one of those. And then that's probably about it. Anybody have anything else?
Ali, this is Vinit.
Hey, Vineet. Oh, hey, Vineet.
Actually, I want to ask one thing. Like, he's just working on the populating the links thing, like on the mega menu.
Yeah, I think the story there is that Shivai said he has a couple of changes in flight, and that Josh was going to take a crack at, once those changes are posted, Josh is going to take a crack at filling those in.
Okay.
On that,
go on.
Just Josh, on that, my recommendation is to hound Shivai. Otherwise, he won't do it until next time we meet. So you should don't let him hold you up. Like, push on him.
Oh, sure. Nice.
And then beneath, go ahead.
And one last thing I would suggest is regarding the blog thing. Why can't we just have a link to the whole card, like whole card blog, and leave out that Seymour? You said that, right? We
Yeah.
don't need a Seymour thing.
Right.
Why can't we just add the whole link, a link to the whole card? Just that we can fit the title into that easily.
Yep. What do you say? Yeah, I did that. That makes sense to me. I don't have any thing against that. I mean, as a matter of fact, like I might make an argument for that because, yeah, it's just an easier navigation. I think the only time that you probably don't desire for that is when, if your card has multiple links, then today ours don't.
Yes, that's right. We don't have tags, right? Like if we have tags, that would make it difficult to like that.
Right.
It's just a suggestion. Like.
Yeah. No. Anyone have any comments on that? So just making Okay. So tomorrow morning we have the mesh sync call, which is really now it's mesh sync / mesh view. So Drew, so there's a few of you here that I know that are working on that as well. And since that'll be our first call, I'm just reminding you.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that Drew has pretty much got it done, by then.
Yeah, I did. I'm always done. We need to talk actually today. I was gonna fix it.
Okay.
I gave Shruti my experience post. I don't know if she mentioned it. Okay, she's not here.
No. She I will go look because we did work on an experience post last night for Nupur, and I'll go double check. I'll ping you after the meeting, Ruth, to make sure that it's on the list because it should be. By the way, Ruth, have you seen the social media? Well, I guess now it's called social media calendar. It's no. I'm sorry, that's not it. It's called, we have too many calendars. It's called the content calendar. I bring it up.
Twitter. Sorry, I don't get. Can you?
Here, let me share it. Okay. There's this inside of the Meshery team drive. There's a spreadsheet called content calendar. It is under the community folder. So when you're in the Meshery drive, there's a community folder, and in there's a content calendar. And I bring it up because that's actually a good place for us to track the fact that Ruth has an experience, or has a blog post. And okay.
Yeah,
good.
I looked at this. Yeah, I looked at this. Yes.
Nice. Okay, good. If you have a link to like a Google Doc or something, or a draft, or if you have a PR or what have you, that you might consider tossing it in.
Post the link here.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's.
Okay, I'll just do that. I'll put the link to the Google Doc here.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Well, you guys almost got to spend 2 whole hours with me today. It's just it's a real blessing, I'm sure.
Yeah, just a comment. Your son is doing well. I'm impressed. He's 10-year-old.
I mean, you know, I had to twist his arm so hard to spend the time to do that stuff. I almost had to. It almost broke. I almost snapped it off. No. No, I had to tempt him with additional allowance. Like, hey, if you,
Wow, really?
yeah. So I think he likes, I don't know, he's gotten some feedback on it though. He likes getting feedback on it. And so
yeah, please send my feedback. He's doing really great. Like wanting to do it, even though he's being forced, but
yeah.
wanting to do it is a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think we'd have a 14-year-old come join us soon. She's just starting out. She's basically still on HTML and CSS, but she'll join us soon, very soon.
Nice. Oh, say her name again.
Sorry.
Oh, who was that again?
Okay, that's Anita's sister, actually.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
her younger a sibling. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
she'll join us soon.
Nice. That's awesome. I'll just go out on a limb and say that if Anita is I human, maybe her sister is like I robot or something. I don't know.
No.
Oh, okay.
Her sister is Chloe.
Okay. just
That's
a guess.
funny.
Oh boy.
Okay, I human is actually the surname. Yeah, so they actually share the same surname.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that, I'll let you guys go. I'll see you at the next one. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Bye all.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye, people.
Bye.